Hey y'all, what's up? My name is Gabby. Welcome and welcome back to my channel. Today I want to talk to y'all about my thoughts on the Hulu show Black Cake. So this is not going to be a TV show review or anything like that. So I'm not going to be giving a lot of details, especially if you might be watching this video and you actually want to see the show and haven't seen it yet. So don't worry about me giving any spoiler alerts or anything like that. Anything that I do mention is just going to be general information that you can just read from the plot on Hulu. So I just wanted to go ahead and put that out there. If you're not already watching or haven't started watching it yet, Black Cake is a new show on Hulu where it follows the life history of a Caribbean woman. She had cancer and she lost her battle to cancer, and she left audio tapes to her 2 children to listen to her story. They didn't know anything about their history or their heritage, so those tapes left the memoir of their mother for them to learn more about her and about themselves and their heritage. They haven't been greenlit for a season 2 yet, but the show is incredible. And to not get too deep into any details or anything like that, the main thing I've gotten from the show so far is not to carry these burdens of trauma and to not hold secrets. And I know that is so much easier said than done, and I've just found it so interesting with the work that I've been doing and the things that I've been talking out with y'all lately. The fact that the mom had cancer, and to find out about how traumatic her life really was, it made sense for her to have ended up developing cancer and passing away. I spoke to y'all in the past about how I had read You Can Heal Your Life and how she spoke on this idea that you can bring sickness upon yourself and upon your life and even death when you hold in certain emotions and carry certain burdens that puts your body in a place of unsettlement. So many of us carry burdens, ones that people know about, ones that other people may have witnessed us endured, and so many others that we keep to ourselves and we try to act like never happened, or that we tell ourselves that we'll never tell anyone ever. I have my own personal experience with this, and I'm sure so many of you do as well. I made a video a while back addressing some of the sexual trauma that I experienced as a child, but I didn't know until I got older. I didn't even consider it trauma really until like maybe a year ago. I didn't understand the depth of what trauma was or what it is, and I think for many of us it's something that is continually unfolding. There's so much information out there for us now to take in, not only critical information from actual research studies and things of that nature, but also shows like this. This show, I believe, was actually derived from a book. Like, there's a book called Black Cake, but there's a story beneath every story. There are stories underneath your trauma, and I had to get to a point where I had to understand at what point can these secrets not be secrets anymore. Once I started opening myself to God and learning more about Jesus and what he said about me, that was a big stepping stone for me. But the biggest thing is that you find something to help you and open up your mind and your heart to release these things from your mind and from your body. I was watching a video where there was a doctor speaking, saying how, don't you find it funny how every time you go to the doctor and they ask you about certain medical conditions, they ask you about your family history, if there was anybody on the maternal or paternal side of your family who experienced certain diseases, and which ones, if they are living, and if not, when they passed away. They say these diseases are hereditary, meaning they can be passed down in your genes, but nobody has ever really considered the fact that it could not be genetic, because some of these things doctors don't know. They are assuming that these sicknesses like cancer and these burdens like high blood pressure and these autoimmune diseases are genetic, when in fact it really could just be generational trauma being passed down. Our parents raise us doing the best they can, knowing what they know, using all the information that they have at the time that they have us. We don't really know what we're doing at first, and we just try our best to work with what we have. And if you think about a traumatized parent raising a child, they're going to raise that child a certain way. There are things that they're going to try to avoid happening to that child. And there are going to be other things where they're completely oblivious to protecting that child from, because they just don't know, or maybe they're not equipped or ready because they're still dealing with things within themselves while they're trying to raise a whole nother human. And in the show Black Cake, you could see how even after the mother's death, the secrets that she had held within her own life were still affecting her own children. Even if she had not told them her history, they had still been affected and scarred by the secrets and the trauma that their mama experienced. But nobody noticed it. Nobody noticed it at that time. And I think that's how trauma can be sometimes. It's something that sits on you and you don't see it until a certain situation activates it. Or you don't see it until it becomes so heavy, or you're so deep in it that you're drowning. That's when it becomes apparent that something is not quite right. I think when it comes to secrets, people feel as though, well, for one, that they're going to be judged or looked at in some horrible way. And two, that you have to tell everybody your secrets. I think one thing to understand is that I think just about everybody has secrets. And when it comes to telling these things, you have to go to somebody who you can trust. You know, somebody who sees you for you, not for who you were or what you've done or your past. And you may have to use a little bit of discernment when it comes to that, trusting someone with that part of you. But if you have absolutely no one in your life like that, therapy could be an option for you. I personally have not gone to therapy, but I think about it from time to time. But in the meantime, I'm sure to do research and read books and do activities that are therapeutic and that are recommended by therapists, books that are recommended by therapists and things like that. But either way, if there's no one for you to talk these things out with, maybe therapy could be an option for you. And two, as I mentioned, you don't have to tell everybody every single one of your secrets. At the end of the day, it's just about releasing them from your heart, releasing them from your body. If you have to write all this stuff out to just get it out, and then you want to burn the letter, you know, if you have to connect spiritually and you're able to express it or release it that way, that's something that can happen for you too. A couple years ago, I wrote a letter to my dad. There were ways that I felt about our whole relationship and how I was treated that I never told anybody. So even though it's something that wasn't necessarily a secret, it was something that was being held inside, that was festering and coming out as discontent and anger. And I wrote a letter to him, put in an envelope, took it to the post office, dropped it off and everything. Now, I imagine at some point the letter just got thrown out. But what happened to that letter after I dropped it in the post office drop box meant nothing to me, because it was so freeing to write the letter, because so many emotions and thoughts and feelings came out. I actually had never even grieved my dad. It was just so complicated. Like, the feelings inside me were so complicated that after he passed away, that I didn't even know how to deal with them. And I found myself grieving 6 years later while writing that letter. We never really know the weight and the power of the hardships and the trauma that we are holding inside until we get in tune with ourselves and we start to feel the heaviness of what we are actually carrying around day in and day out. And we don't really start to live, I don't think, until we let that stuff go. There are some things that would be good for you to verbalize. There would be some things that would be good for you to write down. And you know, sometimes you'll have to do it over and over. You might have to tell a couple of people, or you might have to write it down a couple of times to really process that thing out. Holding these secrets, we do this so that we won't get judged, or because we feel like we might hurt somebody or change our world drastically. But that's not self-love. Self-love is doing the hard things. When we bear and hold these emotions so that we won't hurt anybody else, or so that people won't see us differently, which is what the mom in Black Cake was doing. We hurt ourselves in the end. We think that we're protecting ourselves or protecting other people when we're hurting ourselves and hurting other people. I like the idea of living happy and living free. I believe that there are people out there like that. I'm not sure if I know anybody like that, but I believe that there are people like that. And hearing Viola Davis's memoir, Finding Me, confirmed to me that there are people who are out there and who live that way. People see relationships and money and material things like nice homes and cars and families and all of these things as the answer to help them be happy and to allow them to feel free. And that's never the answer. I asked myself one day, Gabby, if you never got that thing in your life, if you think about your life and this thing that you wanted or these things and you never got them, would you just be unfulfilled your whole life? And that question scared me, because we only have one life to live, and thinking about being unfulfilled and unsatisfied and unhappy until the day I die because these things I wanted didn't come to pass, that is a life that I would not even want to think about. So the next thing is to do the work and learn to be happy with where you are. And honestly, I think a lot more people could be happy with where they are if they do the work that really matters to allow more love and more peace and more joy and happiness to come in. I love the show Black Cake. I love shows that are cerebral, shows that make you think about what's happening next, about what's going on, thinking about your own life. It's the same reason why I don't watch a lot of TV. Because I binged the heck out of that show and I was mad about it. I'm still working on that, y'all. That's why I don't watch a lot of TV, because the self-control is weak when it comes to a good show. If it's not a show that you've seen, I think it's a show that you should watch, but also take time to reflect on your own life. There's a deep message behind it, and I think there's something there that all of us can learn from. Burying these secrets do not help anybody, and they hurt the person holding the secret more than anybody else. The idea that our sicknesses come from our own thoughts and our own behaviors and our own ways and the emotions that we hold inside of our bodies, I'm sure a lot of people still don't believe, or they can't take to. You know, we've been conditioned to believe certain things in life, and some people are so used to that they don't want to think otherwise. But me personally, I've had a lot of hard, close deaths. My brother was killed when he was 19, so that was totally unnatural. But less than a year and a half later, my nana died. She had cancer, and she was so young, 52 years old. My grandma died that same month, in her 50s as well. My daddy passed away, 40 years old, he had a heart attack. So yeah, I always thought, man, how could somebody die from a heart attack at 40? Cancer can get anybody at any time, but how could somebody that seemed like they had so much of their life together and was so on fire for God die so soon? And the more I learn about this, how the emotions and the secrets and the hardships and the trauma that we keep inside are the things that in the end can kill us, the more it makes sense to me. I know more about these people that have passed away now, and I'm sure that they were carrying burdens that led to where they are today, which is not here on this earth anymore in a physical body. I hope you consider watching the show. I hope you consider processing the things that you've endured and working through them and letting these secrets go. They eat us up inside. Having them and holding on to them is a normal part of life, but it doesn't have to be. I became so obsessed with freeing myself and being happy that I've told things about myself and got things off me regardless of what the outcome might be. However other people accepted me or accepted my story or what I was telling or whatever else I had to say, it just couldn't compare to the freedom that I would have, not having to feel like I'm walking on eggshells or not having to omit certain parts of my story or my life to keep this picture that I've created for myself intact. It gets to a point where it's not worth it. Some people get to this place in their life and they don't get there until they're on their deathbed. It doesn't have to be that long for us. I'm not any type of professional in any way. But when you have lived with this type of heaviness and you get to a place where you say no more, this is it, I'm done with this for my life, I'm the cycle breaker, you're just gonna do it. You have to be fearless when it comes to truly being healed and free. You have to have courage. But the thing is, once it's behind you, it's already behind you. I was living with things that I never thought I would allow to pass my lips. I mean, literally. The things that I've expressed and I've shared and I've gotten off of me, I didn't even talk to myself about them. I didn't let the words pass my lips, let alone let them fester in my mind more than a 2-second thought. That's a lot of energy that your body is putting towards every single day to try to conceal something that is still alive in you. Generational trauma and sicknesses is the real thing. It's not a game. Whatever works for you, sis or bro, at the end of the day, you gotta find something. You gotta find something that works for you, okay? Just find something. Me, I found Jesus. That's it for today, y'all. I really hope y'all enjoyed this video. I love you so much, and until the next one, and peace and love, I'm out.